I can assure you, there's a greater, grander purpose for it all. Welcome to this channel. I just wanted to give update. It is July 2022 and I have been in the process of trying to finish my home remodel. So in the next month, I'm hoping to have a considerable amount of that pretty well finished and wrapped up. And I also am going to be turning 50. I am very much going into the next phase of my life knowing what the next 10 years is going to be, and it will be this foundation page and everything that surrounds it. Really got a lot of things going on. As on the subject of this channel, I had said that I was going to make an update video. I am going to make an update video. When I first made this channel and posted a couple videos, I was already kind of wondering, what should I share? What shouldn't I? And the sort of context. And so there's a lot of that I just sort of held back and said, I'm not going to talk about exactly everything that I have planned, including the social media platform that I hope to launch. There's a lot of things that surround what I am trying to do and accomplish, and it is something that is incredibly, it's a gift that I feel has basically came to my experiences through life, and this, this a series of 31 years on this project, and this is where I'm at. There are always going to be natural evolutions or change and understanding, and because this has never been about creating a side. Knowing that I have this to do before this fundraising effort would happen, I don't need to put out too much. I just wanted to make this video to know that I have sort of paused. I have things that I'm getting in order, both personal and in this next phase, and there's just a lot of things going on. This is a very pivotal point in my life. I'm making it more pivotal. I'm really putting a lot in this. There's a lot surrounding this pivot in my life. Is all sort of happening all at once, and some of that I didn't plan, so it's kind of interesting to see it all happening right when I'm about to turn 50. That's in August, and so I have not been working. I'm not going to for a while. I'm hoping that sort of doing this remodeling and painting and tinkering and just outdoor stuff and just being active is hopefully going to sort of build up. I'm a month or so into it, and I don't. So I'm undecided on what the future holds for me. Nonetheless, everything will still go in the direction that I want it. Now, developing these other YouTube channels and stuff, such as growing into the character and stuff like that, without funding, I can't create those costumes. For instance, the one that is going to be the poetry reading costume. That channel will not have anything posted with me on it until that costume is done, and that costume is probably the most expensive I will do before any of my books are published, and that one could run me I'm willing to spend $1,000 on it. So there's just a lot of costumes that have a lot of money in, easily $500, some of them easily, or more. So once I am doing the Peapod centers and stuff, once I sort of explain what their purpose is and how they work with the public, there's just a whole lot of things. I think that in a way, it's a strong statement, but I feel like I'm going to reinvent how social media platforms are made. I think that we are about to jump into the next generation of social media platforms. As far as ones that are coming, I don't think that we are seeing those sort of advanced social media platforms that will be coming. And I am hoping to be one of those platforms. And so there's a lot of things I don't want to say about that, because even when I have the people found that can help me create that social media platform, I do plan on, having, lawyers involved, non-disclosure things. They're not going to be able to talk about anything that's in the project until it is launched. Now, there can be, a little bit of previews and stuff like that. Overall, I'm going to be reluctant, and that's one thing I'm going to have to be. I'm not ready to disclose all of that. I want to do all of that with a relative, some sort of model or sketch or some way that you can visually see things a little clearer into that. But I think between now and December, I'm going to be pretty busy. Make little videos like this. Look forward to explaining the Peapod centers. I haven't had anything really dramatically change since February, when I said, okay, I could define it, had a face, a name, and it was looking back at me. Nothing significant has changed as far as any of that. All that has done is the details are still falling into place. I am always developing and enriching and understanding and taking it to a next level. Just everything does work together. Everything is interlocked. I have given this channel and what I want to say and information sort of a lot of thought, and I don't want to be someone who gives away too many details. Even, there's time just doesn't present itself that the details need to be told. I will be mainly talking about what the Peapod centers are designed to do to encourage that fundraising effort. Just going to get back at it. I'm about to present what 31 years of study have taught me. And it's organically going to come about. And as I have to say, even in the year 2020, I watched the way that I seen the world change. And a lot of that was just the way that I analyzed on TikTok. And there's a certain degree, just a narrow focus of people. It's very different now in 2022 than it was in 2020, kind of, which then feeds into the whole enterprise and puts a different dynamic to it. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't even want to call it an adulthood, because I'm almost 50, but it's now just starting, and then there's a whole shift of just everything else. It's not building anew. It's a whole nother realm. I'm going into it feeling, looking different, just everything is, and some of it purposeful, sort of changing into this, in my 50, transitioning into this next phase of my life and being just everything being different. Within that, I just know that going through this process, there's a natural order of things that it isn't even that you feel like you are making a change because you want to or have to. It just suddenly feels like, what other way would you have it? I'm going to be writing this somewhere in that first chapter of the first book or in the preface of the first book, and that's how you don't grow older through decades passing or having events happen in your life. You grow old by how you interpret those events later in your life, how you chew on the information, as it were. How does it unfold, and what does it mean, and what, when you reflect, and what do you see and think about it now, 10, 20, 30, even 40 years later? How do you think about it now, and what's the reaction that you feel? And that it's the time that passes after those events that makes you feel older. And I think when you get too busy and you don't have a moment, windshield time in your life, as I call it, just that quiet time to just sit and reflect, it's sitting on the information that makes you older. And it was that finally just letting quiet time, windshield time, and just sort of, that's what's made me so much older. I have a lot of conflicts that can be said about me, especially as I develop these over a dozen YouTube channels, because they don't exactly make sense side by side if you know that I'm the one who's created both of them. It just is going to create a lot of confusion. I can assure you there's a greater, grander purpose for it all, and there are going to be some years ahead that there are a small element of the encompassing all. And in fact, it's that other half of the Peapod Center in Chicago and the 1,000 pieces that fall into that directly conflict with what I'm going to be saying on one of my YouTube channels for the next 3 years, possibly. There's just, you're going to be like, I don't understand what has happened. What are you doing? And I'm not going to say anything about this anymore. All I'm going to say is that sometimes you have to completely destroy something. And when you look at the bowl and you've sieved it out and you've rinsed it and you are left with the pieces, what do you got? And so I'm going to destroy a piece of society just so we can take the pieces out. And regardless, that's all I'm going to say on that. I do still have full intentions and am 100% to every word that I say on this YouTube channel of what my intentions are to be. I believe 100% in being able to achieve this goal, which I can say with confidence in this 31 years that somehow the Nobel Peace Prize committee, there are ambitions going on in my plan right now that I'm not going to talk about. I'm just going to say that this plan of trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize for 31 years, as I wrote the first book, again, it's exploded into something else. I in that 31 years, a large percentage of that was just so I could put that as my only parameter on what I was doing, collecting information, if you will, sort of analyzing, looking at things in just societies and people and putting it all together in what would become what it is, what I am about to present. The only parameter I had was that I was trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize for Humanity. So that kept my ambitions pure, if you will. Fast forwarding now, especially since developing this channel and things surrounding my base, what is me, my human as self being base, there are elements in that have changed in recent years. And then since creating this channel, as I look forward to reaching out for fundraising efforts, there now is a set of people that I'm going to be trying to contact that may see what I can do with this social media platform. And all I'm gonna say is I know going into everything that I am doing, because these over a dozen YouTube channels, the books, the fundraising efforts, the channels, this just being another channel itself, each one garners a different sort of vibe, people, a different set of many circumstances. You would not find several of these channels. You would not ever see there would be no commonality, overlap of any logic, reason, and we're just going to stop there. I just bringing these elements to the surface to let you know that, sort of off in a tangent another 10 minutes, but I definitely have an understanding that's going to shift a lot of things quickly. I don't want to say certain things because it's not for certain other people's business to know. I just know that this channel in particular is possibly going to be the one that makes the most sense as far as the direction that my next phase of life enters. I do have to approach this channel a little bit more professional because of the kinds of people that I am going to be trying to draw to this channel. As of now, I am not doing any of these fundraising efforts that are going to engage me with a very different class of people throughout the world, literally. This is not that time for me to draw them here. When I do, those videos will be posted here. And then I will, this is what tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, some of the parameters, I'm, kind of the outlines. I'm going to be pretty open, I think, for the most part on that. And then 2, it works with the social media platform that I'm creating. They almost become like little corporate offices throughout the world, and they may expand that whole there are just elements that may expand. There is the commerce aspect of the social media platform that I am creating, that is a multi-level entrance exam orientated level changes and verification processes and massive questionnaires that are part of the learning what makes people tick. Like I said, I've been open and honest. This is going to be a data mining effort, the social media platform. So these questionnaires are going to be in the hundreds of questions that you have to go through and do on live camera. So, or, live that's recorded from our bank, information bank, that could take hours for you to take. You can quit at any time. There's no obligation to it. But if you engage in the commerce aspect of the social media platform, meaning is if you plan on making money or selling a product on the social media platform, you will have to have engaged in taking this questionnaire. There's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of things, one questionnaire, once we get that, there'll be a certain data that we'll draw out of that, which is then going to in turn go into the next data mining questionnaire effort that we do with you, which will then get you to, there's going to be different levels on the social media platform. You're going to have different access at different points when you've done different things. There's just a lot of things going on with this. You can just simply have a free account like you can have on YouTube. You don't post anything, you don't interact, no chats, nothing like that. I'm not going to say anything else other than that. This platform will definitely have a different user-friendly approach, but that commerce aspect of the social media platform, is the money part of it. That's 4,000 Peapod Center locations. How broad those Peapod centers can be at individual locations, such as in LA, could be quite different, because there is an element of serving the unhoused population or people without a permanent address. When they say homeless, I know that sometimes that can just be people without permanent housing that are couch surfing, that maybe they got something lined up, but right at that time when they fill out the survey. So that doesn't mean there's that many that are in desperate need of being taken off the street. And at the same time, I can't be a mental or medical internment camp to help people who can't take care of themselves. So there is some outreach effort things that may take some different turns and may have to address some other situations, and maybe even work with some government funding it within that. There is a lot of possibilities with what I'm doing. It's not eBay or Etsy, and it's not as business as Amazon. There's a lot of Peapod centers that I want to put in America that will express and, with any luck, help facilitate this ideation that I have, eventually having all the channels that I have. I think that they are just all going to make sense, because that's just the way that I see all this working out. So there is an absolute mountain of information that kind of goes in with all of this stuff. And so I have it all basically outlined, filling in details. I'm constantly writing stuff down. I am about to kind of unplug my computer for a couple months and just really finish up on this whole transition, get things done. And then hopefully I will have taken enough break, finished the transition in my house. So I've got some, just I can come in and just relax. I don't have to stumble and do a dance trying to walk over things. And there's just tools everywhere. This has been a 3-year process, and I'm over it. I just sort of need to clear the space, and like I've initially started this, I'm ready to go into this next phase, and I need this clutter and stuff to get pushed away so I can do that. But I really, really need to just have everything cleaned out in my life so I can just concentrate and say, okay, what can I share? What shouldn't I share? I sort of have what I'm creating. Once I have it on the ground, no one can take it from me. There isn't any way once I'm established to take it. Can't. So, and there, I do want to say, when I talked about changing my life into this next phase and all the stuff in the past, I've had a few challenges come, and they didn't like my answers because there are answers, and they're not the answers that they would like to hear. And I can answer to anything that is set forth. Now, having said all of that, basically what I'm saying is we all got enemies. I got enemies. I'm very vocal. I can be very mean. I've gone through a lot in me in this last 12 years, and there's a lot of me that is sort of dead inside that I didn't expect all to happen. I'm trying to find myself yet. I don't know what's left of me. I had hopes, and then those hopes seemed to plateau, and then the plateau just sort of like, okay, well, some of that, I don't know what I'm left with. But all I can say is that I can be really mean and very callous, and I can say some very crude and sometimes flat out point offensive statements to people, just like people say offensive statements to me. I'm not going to sit here and get into a mosh pit with that, as one could, but I am confident enough to say that even those people that don't like me may very well end up having an account on this social media platform that I'm talking about, and will hate to admit it. It's going to be a good site, and they hate to admit it. They are kind of drawn and want to see what it's about. So I confidently go forward offensive to my enemies, and sometimes maybe even to groups, as I am doing many, many things, and sometimes one may not know what group I am intentionally trying to offend and which one is merely collateral damage. Better to explain later, but then be at that point that more things are understood. This video is just to say that I am still here. I'm still growing in the fine details. I am unsure of what I should be sharing. I want to get everything out. Once I can see things and start paging through, I can start saying, okay, if I was to meet this group of people, what should I bring? What shouldn't I? What's important? How do I control the information? Because I do want to be able to, at some point, get up in front of a room full of people. As I've said, there's 1,000 moving pieces in this. I've said that many times, and there certainly are 1,000 moving pieces, and we're just going to always call it that, even when it gets over 1,000 moving pieces, because I'm sure at some point it will be well over 1,000 pieces at the rate that everything is going. There's, some variables that I have to think about, that I need to just concentrate, and without anything bothering or distracting me, and then I can know what I can share on this channel. That is going to take a bit. The way that the enterprise is being defined, there's a lot of different kind of businesses, and then I didn't really understand how all that would work, but now I understand why, in my case, that it will require different business license eventually. And I want to kind of find a month that I feel is good to launch the nonprofit. I may do it in February. We'll see. I don't want to put any sort of time limit, because I don't know, or if a need would become quicker, because I do talk about this channel to some people to send them here. So, there's always that opportunity that someone would come in and say, okay, here's $1 million, or I've got, the whole $3.5 million to get the initial out. I do know that is a possibility. I don't personally get to use it, other than the fact that there are elements for the Peapod Center that are sort of open to the public, but somewhere's in there I do end up making money, but it is merely managing the world's largest nonprofit. And that's what I hope to explain and share on this channel. So I hope that you follow, and I'll break them down and make them much smaller videos in the future, because they are just going to be, what does this part of the Peapod Center do? That's what that video will be about, and that's it. And then it'll be a separate video. So this shouldn't have too many videos like this. Or somewhere my dream is, I am going to have big events, and then there would be a team of people working for me that would be taking video edits and all this of the whole event, and then posting those videos on this channel. And then I imagine those would be an hour long too. So that is sort of what I am foreseeing in the future on this channel. So like I said, I hope that you're interested in following along, and at some point I hope we meet.